Hello, how are you all doing tonight? Well, we're getting a little bit of a late start. We didn't have a class last week. We're getting a little bit of a late start. It's the beginning of the year, March and on, so people are it's starting to warm up a little bit. So people are starting to get back in their shop, and some people have been away from their shop, for the winter time, simply because it's cold up there and everything. And so people are getting back to the shop, so more and more digital woodcarver customer support calls are coming in, asking for help and assistance to get their machines back up and running and things like that, and get their software up to date and all. So put me a little bit behind today, and I try to cut everything off right around 4 o'clock, so I have the next 4 hours free. But it was up literally till 7:55. I had someone with me, or I was with someone, so a little bit of a late start tonight, and I apologize for that, not getting out the links and everything. I'd like to talk to members and everything. I am getting ready to have a meeting with a new web developer, web design developer and everything, to improve my website. I have a meeting with them tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And part of the website, the new website layout and build, there's going to be a member area on the website where things that you have benefits, part of your benefits of being members and stuff, you'll have access to, PDF documents and project files and things like that. And there'll be an exclusive member area that's locked to other people, but open to you folks. So we'll see how well that goes, and how much that redesign is going to run me and everything, and hopefully get that launched, because I want to start offering you guys more than what you're getting. Right now, you're not getting a whole lot. There's not a lot of activity on Spindle TV exclusive on Facebook, and I'd like to be posting there every day to keep everybody engaged and everything, and with information, good information, learning information and stuff like that, as well as these classes, these live events. And I'd like to be able to get a little bit more interaction to see what you want to learn, right? You're paying this premium subscription, if you will, for gold or silver memberships. And what do you want to get out of it? What do you want to learn? What would you like to, know more about? What would you like to see that you're not seeing, that kind of thing. So we're going to try to really kick everything into high gear coming up in the, as we get into springtime and everything. Lots of changes in the positive direction, lots of changes and stuff, and we're going to hopefully do well with it, get everything going. So I know it's been a little lackluster, right now up to this point and everything, and I appreciate each and every one of you that have stuck with me and everything through the, I get not struggles, but just through the growing pains. I guess we've been growing for some time, but not getting anywhere, right? So we're about to make some major moves in 2025. I made it my mission that 2025 we're going to be making some positive, serious changes. So hopefully you'll see them come around very soon, and you'll enjoy the things to come. All right. So that being said, now tonight I just want to talk to you about something that we don't really get to play around or talk with much. It is going to be revolving around sign making, but it can revolve around other things, other types of projects where, it could be, you might be making front panels for an outside bar or something, who knows, whatever. But we're going to talk about background textures and how to use the Aspire texture tiling tool properly and everything, and layout, but also how to in desktop and pro as well too, how to use the texturing toolpath properly to really get some cool designs and things, and how we can use images or other items that aren't typically used for one thing or another, and but not multi-purposing. What's the right word? Hold on, not multi-purposing. Oh, there's a good word for it. It's not upcycling. What's the word? Repurposing it, right? So something that was designed for one thing, but repurposing it for another. And when it comes to textures and all, I'm trying to be creative when we don't have the tools. Let me see here. I got JR with me. Let's see here. How you doing, JR? Where you at? Let's get him online. Hey, JR, how are you doing tonight?
Good, and you?
Good, man. Thanks for sending me the class reminder. That is your number, right? That always asks if that text are we having a class tonight? That is you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank God. I was like, I always thought it was you. I don't have your number labeled like JR in my phone yet, which that's terrible. I should say JR on there. But how's things going with you? You feeling better? You doing good?
Somewhat. Still got my hand wrapped. Whatever.
Yeah, man. Well,
hopefully
you're on the mend. I tell you what, I just real quick, I switched up the story. I just got done cutting down a large bougainvillea overgrown bush in my yard, and the thorns on them are really dangerous, and they're poisonous. It's poisonous. And my dog developed this mass under her. My new dog developed this mass under one of her memory areas and everything, and all of a sudden it turned into a big mass. It grew, right, and everything. I thought, oh my gosh, what's happening here? Took her to the vet. $1,000 later, come to find out it was an infection. She had run through the bushes that I cut down and got stabbed by one of those bougainvillea thorns, and they're dangerous. They cause like a poison ivy type rash, infection, and infection and redness and soreness and everything. And she got it. She got nailed by it, and it was all my fault. I cut down the tree, but I got lazy after I cut down this big old massive bush. I didn't take the brush because I was tired of getting stabbed. It's bad for humans too, but I had gloves on, but it was irritating me. So I just left everything in the yard, big old piles of it. And of course the dog went running through, not realizing what dangers lie ahead. And I paid for that mistake. So now yours was a cat incident there, or is that?
Yeah.
Or am I? Yeah.
He was just literally sitting on my lap, and all of a sudden he turned around and just chomped on me.
Oh gosh, I hate to hear that. It's it puts you down a little bit,
Oh yeah, 2 weeks in the hospital, two surgeries, and 2 weeks worth of IV antibiotics. I don't even want to think what this bill's going to be.
Oh my Lord, yeah, no kidding. But I couldn't believe it, and this all happened just the past 2 days, so it's brutal. So I feel for you, man. I know that we were down and out last week and stuff like that. What we were talking about when you were popping in is we're doing we're going to talk about background textures and stuff, and we're going to look at the Aspire's texture tiling tools and the textures that they've provided us, and the little models that we can use to create textures. But we're also going to look at VCarve and Desktop and Pro, the Vectric software, the VCarve software, and we're going to look at using the tiling, the texturing tool, and then looking at other models and things, how we can utilize or repurpose those to create background textures and stuff. We're going to kind of what I was saying is while background textures and all generally revolve around sign making and stuff and things like that, it could be used or for things like if someone was making like a panel, like a decorative panel for the front of an outside bar, or wall art or something like that. It gives them the opportunity to try to create some textures. Hey, Ronnie, how you doing? Thanks for joining me live online. Gold members, if you're out there and everything, I can host up to 10 of you, or I think I'm number 10. So 9 of you. If you're a gold member and you want to join, the link is in the community page on the Spindle TV channel under community, only the gold members can see the link. It says join me live online. If you want to join, click on that. These two guys would know what the hoops you have to jump through to get it, because it's Restream is new. So was it hard getting, like signing up and getting up so you can join me live online, Ronnie, JR?
I wouldn't say so.
No,
not at all.
Okay, good. Yeah, as long as it wasn't not too crazy stuff, where it asks for your first child or something like that just to join. You never know. So we're going to talk background textures, and we're going to start off in the Vectric software. Well, of course, we're going to start off in the Vectric software. We're going to start off in Vectric Aspire, and we're going to kind of just talk about it, and then we'll migrate over to the VCarve, the texturing toolpath for that we can use with all of them, VCarve Pro, Desktop, Aspire, and things like that. What I am talking about is in your clip art, in most people's clip art. I do not know if VCarve clip art offers the 2 folders or 3 folders for the texture area tiles, texture fill tiles, and textures not tileable. I'm not sure what of those 3 folders are available for Desktop and Pro, or if any. I believe the textures not tileable is available. I believe that these 2 folders are the ones that would not be available, that you would not see in Desktop and Pro. And what they are is textures not tileable. They have just these backgrounds that are made up already of different folds, grain, wood grain, rocks and pebbles, and walls, brick walls, and things like that. And when it says not tileable, what that means is that it's scalable, and it is scalable, but it's not tileable, meaning I can't stack multiple tiles of it. I can change, I can stretch, I can do quite a bit. And if we look at this in the 3D view, I can create these kind of straw type brush textures or something, and I could, put text on them and things like that. And so these are just these tiles. And let me lay out a design size that's actually appropriate instead of a square. Let's go 36 by 18.5. Well, let's do that differently. 36 there, and let's do 18.5 there, and 3/4. And so if I were to bring in this clip art, let's say we have the bark one, we'll drop that in there. Now, when it comes in, it's fairly decent size, and so we would want to, size it down appropriately. But they are kind of a continuation, so I could run them end to end. So I could run them end to end to create like a continuous flow if I didn't want to just stretch them out or anything like that. And in the 3D view, these are model type components. So instead of an add mode like you see going on here, we would just use a combined mode of merge for these. And
it may just be me, Laney. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm not seeing your screen.
You're not. Nobody is. You want to know why you're not? Because I'm not sharing the screen yet. Lord have mercy. I lost JR too. Where'd JR go? JR left. JR, you want to come back, or did you rock off? Let me see here.
There we go.
Okay, sorry about that. Hey, yes, no. So none of you are seeing anything because I'm just not sharing the screen. I'm just talking. Thanks, Ronnie. That's why I'm glad that I have y'all here. All right, so let's try that again. Let's go up here and Lord have mercy. Let's go up here and let's share the entire screen. That way y'all can see all of the windows that pop up and everything. But let's do that. That's this one right here. There we go. And let's throw us over to the right here, guys. There we go. All right. So what I was talking about, let's delete this and delete this. And let's kind of backtrack for just a moment now that you can see what's going on here. In the clip art, the Vectric software, we have 3 folders: texture area tiles, texture fill tiles, and textures non-tileable. Now, I do believe that textures non-tileable is a folder that's available in Desktop Pro and Aspire, but I think the texture area tiles and the texture fill tiles, I think those are not available in Desktop and Pro. I'm not sure, 100% sure. Somebody, if you can confirm that or deny that, if you're looking at your software, let me know on those 3 folders: texture area tiles, texture fill tiles, and textures not tileable. The fill tiles definitely, because that's an Aspire feature, but I'm not sure. What we were talking about is the non-tileable folder. It's basically just a bunch of different backgrounds or textures like bark and grass and brush and bushes and brick walls and things. And one could stretch that tile out to create, a textured background. Or if one didn't want to stretch it out, they are stackable where you can line them up end for end. And when you're lining them up end for end in the components, the combine mode, that's where I was at when Ronnie let me know I wasn't sharing the screens. The combine mode, instead of an add combine mode, we would just simply change them to a merge. And we would have them merge together, and you could, let's move this over and up. Okay. Oh, kind of get that down here. You can find an ideal merge point where things are going to somewhat fit. And when they're merged, you can take your smoothing tool, not that smoothing tool, this smoothing tool, which is the sculpting tool. It'll ask me to bake these together sometimes. Yeah, it'll ask me to bake them together at times, but it'll allow us to, we can, oops, that's too much smoothing. Hold on, let's undo that. Remove, discard. Let's put that back. Let's turn that smooth. That was a little rough, or not rough, but that was a little much. So we want to just a light little touch on the strength, maybe like an 8 or a 9. But when we come in here, all we want to do is, that's a little much too. Give me just a second to find the right. Little heavy. Let's back off that smoothing quite a bit. So we'll go 3 and 5. There we go. And let's see if we can kind of start blending that together in some of these high areas. And then overall, let's see if we can really bring that together. Come on. Work with me to get rid of that line. I'm not great at this sculpting stuff. And once we have that one laid out, then we'll come over and do it all. Let's see if we can, yeah, that line, I'm showing that line quite well there. I will have to be better at that, but you get the idea. So we can kind of work with those tiles and stuff, stacking them up. Well, rather than the tileable or non-tileable textures, not Tilable. The fill textures here, these are, when we use the tool, they create a seamless, so I don't have to do any of that fiddling around and all that stuff. If I came over here and let's say that I use this block wall texture tile, and let's drag and drop that over here. This block wall, let's go there. When I'm actually using the create a textured area component, if I go, let's say, end to end, 0 spacing on the X and the Y, I can do a shift. I'll just leave that at kind of a small shift there. We're going to merge all that together and hit apply. The, let's see, I am going to do I want to do a 50% shift here? Yep. Hold on a second. Let me put this back. 100%. 100%. I don't know if I want to do a shift. I don't think I want to shift. I'm going to go 0% on the X, shift, 0% on the Y. Click apply. Are you going to mess with me? You going to mess with me? Mess with me? Hold on now. Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. I'm acting like a fool here. Come on in there. One more time. I know how to use this tool. Let's see here. On the spacing, I'm going to transform the object, edit the texture area component, edit the size, orientation, position, and all that stuff. We're going to leave that alone. We're going to just transform the object. I want, on the spacing, I need to be at 100% spacing, so from end to end. On the y-axis, up and down, I need to be from the bottom of one to the bottom of the other. I need to be 100% of that. And on the shift, I don't really, that's kind of the offset. I don't really want to shift that. So I'm going to go 0 on the shift and 0 on the shift here. Now, the reflection, I'm going to have them all face the same way. Work with me. That's one. One more time. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and apply that. Where is it going to make me do a shift here? Hold on a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Why am I not getting anything? 100 and 100. Is it a glitch? Why isn't my, hold on a second. Spacing. This is where to get help on this tool, because I should be, I've never had to go 100, 100. Get help on this. All right. On the spacing. So negative 25% on the X, negative 25% on the Y creates an overlap. The XY shift option can be used to move all of the tiles in alternative rows horizontally or alternated. Okay, so that's like the offset that we use when we're doing stars and stripes. A shape with 50% X shift, 50% Y shift. That should be, we're going to do transform objects. Create texture area effectively fits a box around the original object. In order to apply the settings from the form, do I have to have a vector selected? No. Ladies and gentlemen, give me just a second because I'm doing everything that's proper. Let me bring in another item that I know works and see if there's something different here. So let's bring this in. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, texture area tiles. I'm creating a texture area. So these are the tiles that are used for that from the texture area tiles. When I create a texture area using the appropriate tile, then it should create that. Correct. So we're going to go 0 spacing on the X and the Y. We're going to, if you wonder what that banging is in the background, I have a wild kitten running around, and she just destroyed everything. The issue was I was using the wrong clip art. So this has got to be from the texture area tiles folder. And then everything works appropriately. All right, so made me think I was losing my mind for just a moment. When we create that texture area tile, in this case, this tile here has no spacing. It has no offset, so we're not creating a space in between. It creates a blend, and it merges everything together beautifully to create just kind of that perfect wall. In this case, when you're using the right tiles, it makes everything much easier to deal with, so you don't have to do a lot of brush work or anything like that. Now, when it comes to these textures, where these are useful and everything are, once we have it laid out, it will fill the entire work area. So it, and not beyond it. So it just, in our regular tools that we have in Vectric, we have what's called that, on our array tools, we have that linear array where we can do the rows and columns, and we could choose 50 rows and 50 columns, and it's just going to fill up. In this case, it only fills up our work area and not beyond it and everything. So it lays it out edge to edge of whatever our work area is. And where this becomes useful and stuff is, let's make a sign real quick. I'm going to go ahead and throw in a rectangle around our job here. And I'm going to throw in some text. Let's see if this was Brick City Cafe. And of course, we could have much more to say about Brick City Cafe, but let's use a different font here. I've got some new fonts recently, but we're going to throw that as one in there. And let's get it at least lined left to right here. And then I'm going to create another rectangle here, like this. And let's get that centered left to right. Perfect. All right. So in here, let's say, for example, that on this sign, I'm going to come in on this rectangle and create the full, let's say let's just go 1.5 inches right now and create that. So to kind of create that thick wall, we're going to, let's take this and step it down. Let's create another flat shape. Let's go 3/8 of an inch, and it's going to be a negative. We're going to subtract that out. And then on the text, I'm going to have the text kind of almost conical, if you will. We're going to go with a 45-degree profile, but I want that profile to cut off right about 20% of the top. And then I want a base height on that to be a base height of 1/4 of an inch. And I want to make sure that I have Brick City selected, Brick City there. So once again, 45, 20%. I want to kind of flat. I want it to be flat, just like creating chamfers, if you will. And then I want, let's go 1/4 of an inch on base height. Now, here on this area here, I don't want the texture to take on the letters, and that's what's happening right now. Let's go with, we're at, let's click apply on that to get that meat build up there. There we go. In this situation here, there's 2 ways that I can go about doing this. On the component, I can select the vectors. Let's go to 2D view here. I can select the vectors of the text, and I can select the model, that texture area tile model, and I could just have it clear out. So I could do this. I could select those vectors. I could, where's my design at? Component. I could select the texture, and I could have it remove everything inside the selected vector. Now it's going to want me to bake. Don't really want to bake it, but we'll go ahead and do that anyway. It will remove that so that we have just those smooth letters on top and everything. And the texture doesn't follow over. And then, but what I want to do is in the components, this component here, I want a chamfer, or it's called a draft, but I want a draft. I don't want the straight walls here. I really want, let's say, a 22-degree draft. But I only want, it's going to be at a draft to the visible model. So I want to make sure that nothing is turned on except for the letters when I do that. And I want to add a 22 and a half. Let's do just 22. Draft that, and all that does is it kind of builds out that edge, there. And let's turn off the vectors there so we can see. Kind of helps kind of smooth that out. And then now we have a component of the model, this model here with the draft. So we only need that. and we don't need it to merge. We need it to add. It needs to be added, and then we just turn on all of our components once again. So we could have, for our sign, we could create that kind of, textured effect and everything to really get it to stand out. And where this really shines is if any of you are carving any of that HDU, high density urethane foam for businesses and stuff, that stuff carves beautifully. It paints beautifully. And if you ever look at the like the front of subdivisions or businesses and stuff, those stucco textured looking walls, it's HDU foam. And it's just faux textured and everything. So it carves really, really nice and stuff. And for those of you that might not be aware exactly what I'm talking about, these HDU sign foam, if we go to images, you'll see outside of subdivisions and things, you'll see signs. Let's open that up in a new tab here. You'll see signs like this. Well, that's foam. It's a high density foam. It doesn't warp, bend, crack. It's weather resistant, waterproof. It's insect proof. It is for an 1.5 inch sheet. Lately, nowadays, it's about $550 for a 4x8 sheet of it. But a sign, this size usually sells around $1,500. So I mean, it pays for itself within a few pieces of it. But all of these outdoor signs and everything that you see, it's typically HDU foam. And the texturing, this foam, or even wood too, but the foam really takes on faux texturing really, really well and everything. And so you can really create some really unique stuff for that. Now, the first way that I got rid of that texture was, again, removing that texture area tile from those letters, which did just fine. But an alternative could have been possibly creating a new level, inserting a new level, and having those letters on a different level so they take on a different, when we add to them, they take on a different outlay. So what we did first by just removing the brick from inside the letters worked out just fine, and there's no need to go any more than any of that. Now, one of my favorite texture area tiles that I absolutely love making and everything is, let's take this for a second and move this out of the way. And if I screw this up on the layout, I'm going to be so disappointed in myself. But on this one, I really like making diamond plate, and but out of wood or foam or something, but not like real metal. We're not etching metal or anything like that yet. There's a possibility one day, but when it comes to diamond plate and everything, when we're using, and make sure I pulled it from the right folder, texture area tiles, when we're laying this out, now this one lays out a little differently. And with that tool, this time we're going to be stepping over 50% of spacing. We're going to create kind of a half space, if you will, because when we do the offset down here, the Y offset, we want it to, when that second row comes over, we want it to land right about the middle of this part. We want that first piece to land in the middle of the part. Now, on that second row, on the, give me just a second. I don't know if you guys can see that. But on that second row, we need these parts to rotate or to turn. So they will actually, this is going this way. So we're actually going to have it, oops. Oh, come on now. 1, 2, go back to normal. 3, there we go. And I believe this is gonna alternate both ways. Okay, so when we step over, now on the step up, let me just create this real quick. On the step up, there's 0 step up on this, and one could, if we need this to lay over a little bit more to be a little bit more centered and everything, just depending on what your layout is, we can change our adjustment. And so I don't, let's go, it shouldn't be more than 50%. Let's go 60 just for shit. Oh, where's the part? All right, let's go 60% and click apply. See if it'll adjust over. Yeah, so no, that's 50. I knew that wasn't going to change it. So I think it's, is it this? It's going to be, I don't think I do, give me a second. I don't think I do negative 50. Do I do? I can't do negative on that. So let's go 50%. I don't think this goes 50 either. See, I told you I was going to screw it up. Let me switch that over. Yeah, so no, not that. That's 0. I had it right. 50 is a perfect step over. Is it because my board is odd shaped? Normally that should, 50% of that should be right in line. Yeah. Let me bring things in a little closer. 30%. Okay. 100%. Let me just, I'm playing around now. 100%. Is it just me, or am I always going to screw up? Okay. So 100% of that, for some odd reason, falls perfectly in the middle. Yeah, everything lays out exactly right. Crazy. It is 100. It is 50 there on the shift. There we go. So diamond plate is one of my favorite when you make it right. But let's add in our block of wood. So let's close that and let's bring our component here. Let's take this block of wood right here. Throw that up there. Combine mode, add. Open this up. That should be my 1.5 inch block. Yeah. Oh, I took the rectangle away. Hold on a second. Let me put another one there. I took it away when I moved the sign down. Let's go again. We'll go 1 inch this time, 1 inch. All right. And so here, I made a sign not too long ago. It had an AK, not an AK, AR-15 on it with a diamond plate back. It looked really hot, looked good. The let's throw some text up here. Nightfire. Let's go with that's just an italic. I've got to bring my font folder over at some point in time because it's got all my cool fonts on it. But let's throw that in there. And on Nightfire, let's go ahead and let's build up that shape. Again, if you want a chamfer top, it's a prism shape, angle shape. You're going to go whatever angle you're going to be. I like a 45 kind of chamfer. It would be 30 if I was using like a 60-degree V-bit, that kind of thing. But 45, and then we want to flatten it out. So if I go 45, it's straight chamfer like a prism top. And the when we flatten it out, I have it go up 20%. I generally like 20%. And then adding a base height, we'll go, let's go a quarter again to build that up. And then again, it's taking on that texture. And what we want to do is select that vector. In the component tree, select the texture area tile, just the texture area tile, and remove from within there to create that, standoff. And the letters are, again, real thin. I don't like, I can't stand a sign that doesn't have some kind of draft to it. When my team, when they do model, I always try to put a draft. But that, we want to make sure that component is the only thing that's visible. So we will turn off these 3 items. So only that's visible. And then we'll add a draft. Again, that draft just kind of fills in that meat area. And then we can turn that off. And then turn on our components back. And this needs to be an add. And so, like I said, not too long ago, I did a really nice sign with a AR-15 model with a diamond plate back. It looked really cool. I forget what text it said on it, but I love working with the diamond plate. And if you only have desktop and pro and you can't, build a model or anything like that, you can still get this effect by drawing out the little diamond, laying it out, doing an array copy and laying it out, and then doing a pocket cut where it cuts around those parts. So it mills the material where those are just raised up. So you can work around that. You'll have a rectangle. You'll have these drawn in there. And then you just do a pocket cut and it cuts around them. It's very shallow pocket cut, maybe like a little more than a 1/16, 1/8 inch. And so you'll have those little things sticking up. So if you don't have that particular software and you're wanting that same kind of effect, you can get it that way too. And drawing those little shapes, very easy. It's basically just think of like a diamond, a smooth kind of diamond. And then an ellipse in the middle. And that's it. And then you weld it together and stuff. So to move on from this, the texture area tiles, there's lots and lots of choices and things. And you see those people making those, decorative wall art walls and stuff. You can do that with these tiles. These square tiles that have kind of like the V shapes into them, they do really well. These tiles create some really cool effects. So I'll take this one here. And on this, you don't really have to lay these out, by the way. You don't have to get it like right in the corner or anything like that. It's going to fill in that whole tile. It's going to just use this shape as the subject, and then it's going to fill the tile with that. And then we'll look at some questions and stuff. Let's go to one more time, texture area tile. On this one, again, we're going to go 0 on everything and make sure everything is facing the same way. I believe that's the way this one lays out. Or does it turn? Bear with me a second. Let me see here. It has to be rotated. So let's change that around. This one, let's undo that. And when I undo that, it's going to take my clip art away. Let's drag that clip art back. And I need to rotate this. So I'm going to hit the number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Let's throw that there. Now, on my texture area tile, that part should change here. Does every other one change? All right, so bear with me a second. That's the look I'm going for. What's happening right here? Oh, I must have clicked one too many times. Come on now. All right, so there's that half. Switch it up. There we go. Hold on. Okay. One more. There we go. All right. It takes a minute to get it laid out and all, but that's it. And the way that the symmetry, see, it's called reflection here, but if we close this tool and we go to the array copy tool, they call it symmetry on this one. So I don't know why reflection versus symmetry, but it is a reflection, I guess. I don't know. But we want that pattern. And this is got some height to it. You could probably reduce the height down if you were doing letters that were going to rise up above it or something, or it could just be a decorative panel and everything in itself. Now, one of the cool things that you can do with this like this is on the on these panels that you make, you can use contact cement. Like, let's say you carve that panel, you can use contact cement and a felt, and you can attach the felt so it follows the patterns and all, and you can make like almost like echo or soundproofing and everything. The acoustic panels and things, I guess you would call it, where it helps absorb sound in large rooms and stuff like that. You can do all kind of cool stuff. And something I want to add, JR added there, is the adding a draft to those letters and all. It also helps prevent with chip out, and that's true on those thinner letters and all. By adding that draft, it's literally giving it some mass, some meat, I call it, and definitely helps with reducing that. And also it helps with the runtime, believe it or not. On a flat wall, your bit comes to that wall, stops, raises up, goes over, goes down, and cuts. And it's got to make that extra motion. when there's a draft, that bit actually rides up and over like a ramp, and it actually is faster. It doesn't have to make that stop to completely change course. It's just all it's doing is raising up and over and everything. So it actually reduces. It's not like a dramatic difference, but it does reduce runtime, drafts and all. So it's pretty cool to use them. I love drafts on any kind of text. Highly, for me, it's a must. So once again, the texture area tile is a very cool because you pick the tile, you lay it out, and it fills the area, right? And so you have a bunch of areas to work with. Now, does this work with just any tile or any texture or anything? I do not believe that we saw earlier that I was trying to use another model from a different different folder type, and it wouldn't take, right? It didn't tile across. It just kind of stayed, there. It stacked on itself. So we are limited to the textures and stuff that we have in here. And I'm sure probably on Design and Make or something like that, there's other designs and stuff. I've never ventured beyond these as far as like, can I make my own or make it work, or is there a workaround, or talking with Vectric or anything like that. I've only used, and I don't have these even downloaded here on this new update, version 12. I haven't even downloaded them yet. And they do pretty cool stuff. Now, let's get out of that model. Let's get out of that tool, and let's talk about just creating backgrounds by using our imaginations. One of my favorite, it's one of my favorite textures is, I love going online on Google and typing in things like pile of leaves, bed of river rock or bed of rock, blades of grass, whatever the search term is. So if I do piles or pile of leaves and everything, what I'm looking for when I'm looking at the images, I'm looking first of all at a high resolution image and everything, and I'm also looking for an image that fills from edge to edge, kind of almost like a top-down view like you see here. There's all types of different images and things, but I want something with some type of texture to it and things. So as an example, I believe that first one I clicked on would be pretty good. You could even do something like this if you want some void spaces and stuff in there, for sure. All right, let's go back to this first one. Come back up. I know it's here somewhere. There it is. And we're going to go to Save Image As. And in our downloads, we'll just call this Leaves. And in our Vectric software, let's get rid of that. In our Vectric software, we're going to go into the create a component from a selected or imported bitmap. So we're going to click on that. We're going to click on the leaves. We're going to click open. And what that's going to do is it's going to create this texture. Now the texture is going to come in fairly rough and fairly thick with high peaks and things like that. First of all, let me increase the model resolution. I'm just let's just bring it up a little notch. And so these peaks and valleys and everything, well, I want to tone that down. So I'm literally going, and when we change the Z height of a model, we also sacrifice detail. Knowing that, I know that that's going to happen. I have two choices. I can try to reduce the height while trying to keep the texture, or I can just reduce the Z height, the model height, which is this one right here. Either one of the two. Now I'm actually going to just reduce the model height, so it's not going to retain the as much detail. I'm going to come here and I'm going to set this to, let's say, I don't even know what height it is at right now, but let's go with 1/8 of an inch. Oops. And click apply. That's going to reduce that down and might even, oops. Yep, that's fine. Now here, let's zoom out. I have a choice. Do I want to stretch this along my work area? And when I say stretch, I mean stretch, right? To create kind of that textured background. Oops, the 3D view, we'll go here. To create that textured background. Or do I want to stack it, side by side, kind of create an array of it? Either way. But here, let's make a sign just so you can see, the look of it. So let's say that I'll draw a rectangle. I will offset that rectangle inward 1 inch, sharp corners. I will select these two vectors and I will select that model and I will remove everything from within those two. Then I will select this and create a flat. I could do rounded too, but we'll create flat. Actually, let's give it a little bit of curve. Let's give it a little bit of curve. So we'll go here. I'll go with a 60-degree profile. I'm actually going to select both of these if I'm going to do it this way. Oop, did I lose y'all? Y'all still with me? Did I just freeze up my computer? No. Okay. I want to select both of these vectors. And let's do that again. I'll get rid of that first one. But I want to go 60 degrees, and I want no limit. I'll go there, but I'm trying to do it between those two vectors. So we'll create that. And then I will delete the other component. Let me just delete that other component out of there. There we go. All right, first things first. Let's give it a base height. So one more time, 60 degrees. I'm going to give it a base height of, let's go 3/4. There we go, 0.75. I would be preserve internal corners. That should, give me those nice miter type corners there. Let's go to the 3D view. Okay, good. And then with that, we'll start a new component. So I'll just select this one now. This one's going to be a flat. And I'm only going to go, I'll give it a little bit of meat. So let's go 0.2. And this is actually going to be I believe it's going to be an add as well. Yeah. Let's go a little bit more than 0.2. Let's go 0.375. Oops. 0.375. Come on, Lane. And then let's add some text in there. So let's say that this was, I don't know, autumn, right? An autumn sign or something. So let me learn how to spell autumn. And let's go with, for autumn, we'll go with something. That's too skinny. Let's go a little thicker there. All right, we'll go ahead and with that, we'll size that up. Center it. And then we'll create a shape on it. I'm not going to do a chamfer this time. I'm going to do round over edges. So it's going to be a curved profile. I'm going to go 90 degrees, full on 90 degrees, like a big old bubble, but I'm going to limit that 90 degrees. I'm going to flatten it out about 10%. And I'm going to give it a base height. Let's go 1/4 of an inch, 0.25. Now, once again, when I create this component, it's going to take on the leaves that are underneath it, right? So it's taking on that shape. So once again, we're going to do that same thing that we did before. We're going to select the vector. We're going to select the model. And we're going to clear. Oh, did it not stay selected? Hold on a second. Hold down the shift key. You must have at least one component and one other object to trim with it. What are you talking about? I do have one component. So, oh, let's convert that to a font. There we go. Or not from a font to a vector. And then let's take that out of there. Are you not going to work with me? Okay, that's my leaves. Okay, do not give me a hard time. All right, so go in there and clear. There we go. I don't know, just temperamental. All right, so with this, my letters are just coming up, of that 1/8 inch because they're kind of set to a, on that component. The letters are set to an add versus a marginal. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring them up just a little bit higher. They have a base height. Let's go a little bit higher on the base height. Let's go 3/8. Give that a second to adjust. There we go. And on this, if we look very carefully, we have a little piece of debris right there. Now that debris is basically from the leaves here where it cleared out those letters. It cleared them out, but the text that got created, that got modeled, is just slightly undersized under the vector. If we look at the 2D view, we might be able to see it if I select this. So the vector is here, and there's this little space between here and where the model is. And so those little spaces, when we cleared it out and everything, it's the because of the add mode, it's pushing up that material. So how we get that to kind of drop down, and there's a few of them, right here on the T and everything. So what we have to do with that is we actually have to, this is where levels come in. So when we're looking at that, let's kind of zoom in and focus here on the T. We're going to create a new level. Insert new level. Our text is going to go onto that level, and the leaves. Let me see, what component do I want? Bear with me while I figure out what component I want to take with it. So that's our border, and that's the meat underneath. That can stay there. The leaves will go here. We will merge these two together. And when we do that, it gets rid of those little spiky things that were sticking up. And those two, how they play with each other, how they play with one another, and we can merge both of them. It doesn't matter at this point, but they combine with each other in that level. But the entire level is adding to the level underneath. So it's adding to that base, that wooden base, and it's adding to this frame and everything here. So let's turn off these vectors and let's look at this kind of a front view. And so, we could create, I don't know, summer, winter, fall, spring, whatever you want, and everything. So you can create all kinds of cool stuff. And that was just grabbing a picture online for, piles of leaves and things like that to create that texture. And like I said, I love when I'm searching, so piles of leaves, but bed of rock or bed of river rock. Let's do river rock, bed of river rock. I think I'm good there. And when we're searching for, like I said, when we're looking at our images, again, you want an image that fills your, whatever it might be. You want an image that fills that area. And you can create that very cool texture. And if this, this is a small one, but save image as Arizona River Rock. When we're in here, once again, let's turn these two things off for a moment. But you literally just import that model in. Let's turn off these other two components here. And when it comes in, it's going to be a little rough around the edges, right? That tall height and stuff. But again, reduce it down. Let's go a 16th on this one, 0.625. Give it a second. Reduce down. And then if you also need to, on that texture and stuff, if you also need to, you can also make sure it's the only thing that's visible. In this case, it is. And then you can smooth the entire thing. And you could really crank up the smoothing, or you could go, halfway down. But you could really soften it up, however you felt, be. And once again, it could be one that you just stack side by side and have it merged together, or it could be a texture that you stretch, whatever the case may be. But you can create all kinds of cool background effects from that. Right? How many, show of hands, how many knew this? How many know this already? And have utilized this in projects before and stuff, whether it be importing the picture to create a texture, or whether it be using the texture area tile. Show of hands, and I'm going to throw the guys on the bus here for a minute. Ronnie, have you ever used any of these features or anything for any projects?
I have not, Lane.
All right, cool. What about you, JR?
I have not used them. I've looked at them because I was thinking about doing this for a background for my kitchen walls.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You could do that. Yep. You sure could. You just like like when you go to Lowe's, you can get those faux panels, for like bathrooms and kitchens. The panel board. They have different textures. Oh, you could make that. And stuff. I don't know what the cost balance would be, but yeah. And
Yeah, what came to mind was maybe using it on the stack text.
Yeah. Yes.
To throw in a background on that stack text.
For sure. Text on text and stack text. Absolutely. Roger, good. I'm glad that you've used that before. It's a cool effect, and there's a lot of different things that you can do with it, whether it be signage, like I said, or like in JR's thing, panels, panel texture. Text on text is a great concept for that as well. Now, when it comes to text on text, I enjoy these type of textures, but I also like the texture toolpath as well, and we'll show that here in just a second. That's where we're heading to next. But so the second topic here, images, right? And you can think of all kinds of abstract stuff, like I said, like blades of grass, image of waves, let's say like water waves, bed of rock, pile of leaves, cloudy sky. And these images, if they have some kind of texture or design to them, whatever, they can be imported in and turned into that background. So, and whether you stack them side by side so you're not stretching the shape too much, or you're just scaling it to create, to stretch that shape, whatever. Either way, it's a pretty cool effect. Now, let's say that let's keep our sign here, autumn. Let's say that we are doing a text on text, and now with a text on text, we're gonna start off proper. So layer 1, we'll call this our original layer. Layer 2, we'll call this our back text. Layer 3 will be our top. Top. It doesn't matter what order. Top text is fine. Normally it's top then back, but that's okay. And then for me, we're going to do welded text. And that'll be it for this one. If you're going to do anything in the lower third, I always create another layer called lower third. Like a wedding sign, it would have a husband and wife's first name and their last name being the main sign. But then down below in the lower third, you could have like their wedding date or, some models or something like that. And that goes on its own layer. Right now, we're just going to do these layers here. And so let's say autumn here. Let me cheat just for a minute. So let's see here. Autumn, AUTUMN, signs. Let's see. Hello, autumn, breeze, autumn breeze, fall leaves, pumpkins, please. Okay. Fall in love with autumn leaves and pumpkins, please. So we'll do something like that. Let's see here. Autumn leaves and pumpkins, please. So that's kind of like, I don't know. Hello, fall. Hello, autumn. Just looking at different autumn signs. We'll do autumn leaves and pumpkins, please. So okay, so we're going to go autumn. Let's go back to the text here. I'm going to go autumn. Am I even spelling autumn right? I am spelling autumn right. AUTUMN. Yeah, autumn leaves. And then our top text will be pumpkins, please. Never, that's kind of a new one on me, but okay. So now I'm going to make this a smaller font. So we're going to size this down just a little bit. I'm going to fix my L. Let's go back in there and fix that L. Got a capital L there. Pumpkins, pumpkins. I spelled that correctly. Yes. All right, let's make autumn. Let's stretch autumn out just a little bit. Now, some people like the text in the middle and all. I'm kind of a fan of the text kind of in the lower third, kind of like just a slight overlap, something like that. And we'll see how it lays out, but I want to make Pumpkins Please a different font. I want to be a little bit more decorative with that one. So let's go. I don't have a whole lot of scripty fonts on this new computer yet until I upload my folder, but let's go down to where's old monotype Corsiva when you need it? Let's go to mono. Master break. Okay, now I'm actually going to size this up. So let's go on the text height. Let's go 4 inches. And let's stretch that out. I'm actually going to go with that. Let's stretch it out here. Okay. Now, weld, not yet. In a minute. But we're going to be welding that together to get rid of all those overlaps and stuff. So let's say that this is my signed text on text. So the first thing is my border right here and text and all. I want to move that to the original layer. I want it to be on the original layer. So I want everything there. Then I want to take my back text and I want to move the back text, or copy, not move, copy the back text to back text layer. On the top text layer, we're going to take our top text and a border line. That's going to get copied to the top text layer. So we'll right click and copy that to the top text layer. And our border, we're also going to copy just the border to the welded text layer. All right, with our layers separated, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the original, and we'll start with our back text. We'll turn everything off and make sure back text is here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to verify that there are no overlaps or anything that I have to deal with. If there were, then I would deal with here. Then I'm going to convert this to a curve, and then I'm going to group it together. Group that together. Now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy it down to the welded text layer. The top text layer, first thing I'm going to do is my Pumpkins Please. I'm going to weld that together, replacing that vector with a curve, if you will, and I'm going to group that together. And on the top text layer, the border gets offset inward based on a router bit that I'm using in my depth of cut that I'm doing. I love a 60-degree offset, and I love an 1/8 inch tall back text and an 1/8 inch tall top text for a total of a 1/4 inch cut. So if I'm using a 60-degree V-bit with an 1/8 inch height of cut, my offset distance from the tip of the bit to the side of the bit where it intersects at that 1/8 of an inch is 0.0722. And how I know that is one, I do it all the time, but number two, if I draw a 60-degree V-bit and I draw a line coming straight across, now imagine, use your imagination that this is the V-bit sitting on top of our board, right? That's in the top surface. Now, if I have that bit cut into that board an 1/8 of an inch deep, this is what it would look like, the bit cutting 1/8 of an inch into that board. And if we measure the offset distance from the tip of the bit to the intersection here where it offsets, it's going to be a 0.0722, that offset. If it was a 90-degree V-bit going 1/8 of an inch, it's 1/8 of an inch offset based on that 90 degrees, right? So that offset number, that's my magic number for my offset. So the border on the top text layer, make sure that's active, it gets offset inward by that amount. Offset inward 0.0722. Delete the original. No sharp corners are necessary on this, but you can if you want. But delete the original, select the new. Done. Now, we have just welded this text together. We grouped it together. And so it's ready to move to the welded text layer. Not move. Don't move. Copy to the welded text layer. And on the welded text layer now, if we turn that on, everything is ready to go for this except for one thing. We need to offset the top text outward by that same offset number, that magic number. So we need to go outward, 0.0722, deleting the original. Let's make sure that welded text layer is active when we do this. Make sure that's very important. But we're going to offset outward by that magic number, deleting the original, selecting the new. When we do that, we're going to make sure that we regroup that offset back together. Okay? So now that we have two groups, we have the group of the back text, we have the group of the offsetted front text, we have those selected together, they get welded together. That's why it's called the welded layer. They get welded together and they create that weld, creates kind of the boundary so the router bit doesn't remove that material when it's cutting and everything. And if we turn on the top text layer, which the welded text layer and the top text layer are the only two layers that get used, you can see that top text will fit right into that welded area and everything. All right. And so now with our two layers visible here, we can go to create our toolpaths. So it's going to be a VCarve toolpath. The first toolpath is going to start at 0 and cut 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to use a 60-degree V-bit, and I'm also going to use a combination of a 1/4 inch end mill and an 1/8 inch end mill. I like going with the 2 bits on that. I want to do a raster cut with the grain, and I want to associate this toolpath. We'll just call it top text for now. I want to associate, hit the selector over here, all open and closed vectors on the layer associated with the toolpath, but everything on the top text layer. And if you look, it selects that inside border and all that top text. So when we close that, this is now automatically selecting those vectors that are on that layer and it's associated with them, so that when I calculate this toolpath, we can preview that visible toolpath, and we have that pumpkins please with that 1/8 inch first level, right? Kind of that first level. Now, the second toolpath, let's turn off the color for now. That second toolpath is also going to be a VCarve toolpath, but we're going to actually start at 1/8 of an inch because we've already milled that material away, and we're going to go down another 1/8 of an inch. Same bits and everything, same raster cut and all. So this time, we'll call this our bottom text. When we do our selector for our vector selector, we are going to associate with everything on the welded text layer. So it's going to select everything on the welded text layer. We're going to close that and calculate that toolpath. And it's rinse and repeat for these. Literally, same 4 layers, same steps, same thing every single time for every text on text. It doesn't change at all. The only thing that changes is the text. So we'll preview this visible toolpath and go through and clean that up. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And so we have that really nice text on text. Now that we have our text on text, we'll add a texture to it, right? So this this text on text was created as a 2D cut. I have a spire. I could have created this as a 3D model as well. So I'm going to show you that also, so you know that you don't. This is as a 2D cut using a V-bit and end mills, right, to create that. Now, we'll put the texture in here, but let's look at it really quickly on. Let's make it as a model real quick. Let's turn this layer off, this layer off. Just go back to our original real quick here. Actually, sorry, let's go to our top text, these two layers here, because they're already cleaned up. So if I was doing this as a model, we'd go into, we could do a flat shape, or we could create the rounded over edges, whatever you want. Basically, it's going to be pretty straightforward. Let's close this for a second. Let's reset the preview and then close it for a second. All right, so we'll take the bottom text. I'll just do it as flat shapes. We'll add some draft to it. But we're going to go, I'll go a base height of 1/8 of an inch. Calculate. Okay. We will take and select our top text. This will have a base height of 1/4 of an inch, 0.25. Merge. Now, on these two here, let's close that. Let's create the base. Let's create a base. So I'll use the outside vector here. Let's go 0.375. That'll be fine. Create. And then, do I have a rectangle out here still? No, I don't. Let's put one there. This will be a flat shape. I'll just go the full 3/4. Now, on the rectangle I just created, not this one, back to the component here on this one, the one in the middle, that needs to be a subtract. So I want it to reduce down kind of a pocket. So it needs to be a subtract. This way the text is sitting down inside, and I want to make sure, it's a subtract enough that there's nothing sticking over the edge of the frame. The text is 1/4 inch tall, 1/8 and 1/8, right? 1/4 inch tall. So my pocket area here, I believe that was 3/8. So everything is sitting just 1/8 of an inch under the surface there. Now, if I was doing the texture and everything, that would be, not that one, sorry. That would be this one. And it needs to be I would do a new level. The text, no wait, that's not, sorry. This stays down here with the leaves. This stays down here. The text goes up here and up there. They are my Sharona. Let's see here. I have another autumn in there that doesn't need to be there. Oh, if you remember on my texture, I removed that autumn from there, right? So I need to turn those leaves off, and I need my original leaves. Did I make a copy? This is why you keep your originals intact. No, I didn't. So let's recreate a new one. That's why I always use levels and I copy and everything up. Let's do leaves. Let's stretch it out. I'm going to take everything here. Let's do it this way. I'm making it bigger than my board because I'm going to be removing that material. So I'm going to select this vector right here. I'm going to select that leaf component, and I'm going to say remove everything outside of that vector. Get rid of it, right? So it only is inside there. Now, with the leaves, they need to be reduced down once again. They need to be, we'll go to the properties. We're going to make them 1/8 of an inch tall. Wonderful. We're going to move those down here in that level. Wonderful. All right, now on my border, same thing that we do with the last ones, but this time this is where my welded vectors come into play. So on the welded vectors, I'm going to let's turn this off and this off for a minute. On my welded text right there, I'm going to select that. I'm going to select this model, and I'm going to clear everything inside the vector away. Oh, it's going to do that to me again. Give me just a second. I need, what was my message? Did it say? Let me see here. Clear everything inside. It says only one component on the same level can be grouped. So give me just a moment. Oh, I had the wrong component selected. All right, let's go here and remove. All right, so we have that. There we go. All right, once again, probably give my, since this is 1/8 inch tall on the leaves, probably give myself a little bit more height on this text. So this one, which was 1/8 of an inch, I'll make it 1/4. Oops, too many decimal points. This one, which is 1/4, will be 3/8. Apply, gotta click apply. And then on my pocket area, let's go back to that pocket area. I'm just going to go, I'd like the text to be just a little bit under the surface. So I'm going to just go, instead of 375, I'll go 0.4. Bring that down. Now, my leaves are, they're kind of creeping up the side here, creating this rough edge and everything. And because they need to merge, they kind of need to merge with that outside frame, but they also at the same time, they, let's merge this, merge, clean that up. But when it merged, it also merged with the plateau, the level it's underneath. So they're merging, and that's fine. But that means that my base needs to actually be up here. so that my base. Actually, I'll create a new level. Hold on a second. Insert a new level. It'll be by itself right there. All right. And then the it's going to be subtracting. Combine mode, subtract. I got to change these levels around. So that goes here. Actually, I think let me fix this. Combine mode, add. We'll put the border there. No, I need the leaves to merge with the base. Yeah, so those two go together. Leaves and the base go together. But the leaves need base height. That's what they need. That's what they're missing. Let's go to the properties. And I need to be at least 0.116. So let's go 0.125. Oh, 0.125. Build them back up. Oh, let's go higher. 0.25. Oh, come on. 0.25. No. All right. 0.375. Oops. Come on, guys. You got to start showing yourself. How tall is that? That's 1/2 inch. That's 3/4. That's 3/4. That is 0.4 down. My leaves let me see here. What we're trying to do is the leaves are sticking up the side right here. We're trying to clean that up. And the two models can't merge, or they can't add together. Like, they have to merge. The leaves have to merge with the base. So if I turn the base into a merge, that didn't do anything. If I turn the leaves into a merge, that cleans it up, but it loses the leaves. If I turn off let's turn this off. Okay. So the leaves, let's give them a base height of 3/4. So that means they're like right at the top. Let's see what happens here. There's the leaves. Okay. There's the leaves. So now if I turn this back on, oh, you son of a gun. Still. Combine as a merge. No. Nope. Come on now. We had it. We were like right there. Okay, so that's going backwards. Oh, but that might work. Hold on a second. Change this to an add. Change that to a subtract. No. And what I'm looking at, ladies and gentlemen, is this rough edge right here, right? So we're trying to eliminate that. We don't want that in our sign. And so what am I doing? Let's see here. This is correct. The text, it still needs to be drafted, but it's correct. That level is sitting on top of everything else. My base, which is the whole board here, I think that's my problem. I think instead of just making a frame, I went with the whole board. And what I should do is I actually should delete this. And I should, my leaves should merge with this, like that. They should go together. I should create a new piece here. Flat. Let's go 3/4, 0.75. And then that goes with these. .4. Oh, my leaves are at 0.75. Let's bring them down now. 0.4. There we go. There's the clean edge. All right, so we're there. We just got to fix the text. Let's bring that down more. Let's go 0.375. Okay, so those are those two. This can be turned off for a moment. This has to play nicely. So okay, so my height, this is still too tall. That's one of the problems. 0.25. I think the base height probably has to be 0 on that again. 0? Let me go 0.125. Okay, so turn this back on. All right, so that bad boy right there, this should, does it belong up here? Levels is one of those things. Okay, so I've got the text now. I lost the leaves because of the height here. This does it have to be on its own level. Let's crank this up. There we go. All right, so then I take this, That's already tall enough, but I need this to be just slightly a little bit taller. So once again, actually, I need my leaves to be lower. Back down to 0. That's it. Okay. Lord of mercy. That was a long bit just for that 2 things. But what we're going to do now is we're going to turn off those 3 levels and just we'll do 1 set of text at a time. Don't do both at the same time when you're doing drafts and all. Keep them separate in case you need to change anything. But we're going to go ahead and add our draft to the apply there. And the reason why it looks all funky is because that model got dropped. It needs to be up here. Okay. And then autumn, the same thing. We turn that off now and turn the autumn on. Oop, not that one. Autumn. Go to the draft. Apply. It's going to get thrown into this level. It needs to be up here. Okay. So that draft will smooth it all out in just a minute. Turn this off. So we have our 2 drafts there. We need to turn this back on. And then overall, we're going to apply a small amount of smoothing. Soften that up. And that would be creating a modeled version of text on text with the leaves background, or a textured background like that. And the question that one would ask probably is, can we create a textured background with the text on text? And the answer to that is yes. You would need this model to be visible. Nothing else, just this model, the leaves in itself. You would need the let's turn off everything except for the leaves. Everything. You would need, and of course I took the leaves with the letters missing. Do I have one without? No. That's okay. That's kind of good for us anyway. But you would use your vectors, which would be this vector here and everything. The outside vector, that border vector all the way around, is really all you need. You don't need any of this inside stuff because anything inside here is going to be protected. So with here, you would select these 2 borders, and you would make sure that your model isn't too far buried now, because the text has to get cut on top of this. So our text is 1/8 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch. So this model, the base height above the model, really needs to be 1/4 of an inch, 0.25, because we're milling all this stuff away. And you make sure that model's positioned in there where it should be. Set your job setup. You're going to select your outside border and you're going to do your 3D rough cut. Let's say 1/4 inch end mill, selected vectors is the boundary. We're going to calculate that toolpath. It could be 1/4 inch end mill, 1/8 inch, whatever the case may be, but that's going to carve around this. leaving that wood in the middle untouched, right? And it's going to mill everything down and let's see here. We're going to do the 3D finish. I'm just going to use the 1/8 inch tapered ball nose, raster cut, selected vector is the boundary. Once again, calculate. Now at this point, this one of the top peaks of this texture is a 1/4 of an inch down. So this texture kind of is starting at a 1/4 of an inch down to, however tall it is, the model itself. And so when we run our toolpaths, we are going to be somewhat running, air and all, but we really need to be able to clean up these edges on the outside here as well. And sometimes on our leaves, we should have brought the leaves in just a little bit. We should have used that inside vector instead of the outside vector to trim to. But let it finish up, and then we'll run the first 2 toolpaths. So this is, again, combining the textured background model with our 2D cuts. Not ideal, not the ideal situation, but if you don't have the ability to create, the text on text in a model form, then this is the way to go. So we should be able to, at this point, run these toolpaths. And yeah, so we need our vectors on our leaves to be offset further out. That angle, the ball nose bit removed that material there, around there. So we actually we can't use that line straight up right there. We need that 0.0722. We need that angle. The vector is the vector at the top of the letters, not at the bottom. So we actually need to offset this selected vector outward, 0.0722, and 0.0722 is fine. We're not going to delete the original. We need that. So offset outward, select the new. First of all, we don't need that selected. Select the new. Perfect. Now we'll add that in. And we need to turn this vector off for a minute. We go into the selected component of the leaves. We clear out the area of the selected component, so that should get rid of that area in there as well. It did. And then now it also did inside, we're not going to have any leaves inside the M and the A and all that stuff. It cleared out, those vectors. We could have left that and left the leaves inside there. Let me see if I can. Well, just use your imagination that we actually had those vectors selected and it left those leaves in there. But in this case, it did not. It took them out, so that's going to be flat in there. But we will recalculate the rough cut toolpath, but using this outside vector, not the other one. Calculate. We will, we also need this too. Do that again, one more time. That and that. Calculate. sorry, we would have had, yeah, we wouldn't have removed that texture from in between the letters. Our 3D finish, same thing. We need to select this outside vector. In our border and calculate that. And also now see our letters are going to get cut away right, where's it at? I just saw it right here. So the oh no, it's not going to get cut away. No, we're good. We're good. We're good. So we don't need that. We'll leave that off. 3D finish is done. 3D rough. All right. Reset the preview. Preview that we'll just do. We don't need to watch the rough. Preview the finish toolpath. Let that run through. That should bring everything down below that 1/4 of an inch or at that 1/4 of an inch level. And again, we're combining that model with the 2D vector. So it's not the most ideal way, but it does get the job done and everything. The ideal way is creating that model and stuff. Okay. And so let that run through real quick. Come on, get up there. Get her done. And here you see that texture, how it's between the letters and everything. That's what we would want for inside the letters too, like inside the letter A, inside the letter U, and all that stuff. I just didn't have those vectors selected. So unfortunately, it wiped out those leaves in there when I erased it. All right, so now we should be able to, with that in mind, we should be able to run these 3 toolpaths. And at this point, most of the letters should be clean on the edges, but I think I'm going to have some tool marks on some of the inside stuff. I might be wrong. Let's see. Much cleaner. And I think I saved everything. Yeah, right here. So see, it looks awkward with between the M that there's no leaves there. There's no leaves there. I white those out. So we wouldn't do that. We would keep those. We're only clearing out the texture inside the letters. And I didn't have all the vectors selected proper when I cleared that out. But that is how you would set a 2D toolpath with your different layers. Top text and bottom text, stack on text with that 3D model textured background. Just don't wipe out the texture like I did. All right, so Ronnie, that's kind of like, what you were talking about, a text on text, minus my screw up of getting rid of the leaves in between the letters, but you guys get the point. And so 2 ways to do that. If you have a spire, you could build the text on text with the model or this way, right? So you can build the text on text where you have that model. And let's close that model right there. Or you could just, carve it in like I showed and all. So we have the picture textures, we have the texture area tiles or the non-tileable that you can stack or stretch, and then the picture textures, like I said, bringing in those images of different things and making a texture out of it. But we also, on the last wrap up here, we also have the texturing toolpath. Now, the texturing toolpath is cool because you can use any kind of router bit. The most common that you would use are V-bits, end mills, and ball nose bits. Ball nose bits give you kind of like that scooped look. End mills give you a real chunky, choppy look. V-bits give you kind of a sliced look when it comes to creating textures and all. But one of the things I really like when it comes to the textures and everything, or the texturing toolpath, is the way that we can manipulate it to go around certain letters and not others. And so let's turn off all of this stuff. Now, this is all 2D, no Aspire required for what I'm about to do. We're going to get rid of the autumn leaves, not get rid of it. We'll just move that off to the side. But we're going to start off with kind of a clean slate here. Now, one thing I'm going to do just to give it a little bit of pizzazz is I'm going to go online and I'm going to go and type in here bass fish vector. My cap locks is on, but that's okay. I am going to, let's take, for right now, we'll take this guy right here. And I'm going to just open that in another tab. Save image as. We're going to, I just want this one. I don't need both, just this one right here. Bass, B-A-S-S. All right. Here I'm going to import that image. Nope, that's a model. Hold on. Import that image. I'm going to zoom into it. It's a real low quality image, but I'm still going to work with it. I'll trace it. Bitmap fading off, first step. Second one, I'm going to change this up to 75. Default corner fit, very bad image as far as it's very low quality. We'll turn the noise filter up to about a 4 on that one. Preview, apply, and close. And then let's size that up. Not that big. Let's go a little bit smaller. Right here. Let's go something like right there. All right, now, bear with me a second. My ear is itching like a mofo. I've had that earphone in all day. Okay. Let's go with Jack's Bait Shack. All right, so let's go Jack's. Let me turn my cap locks off. Jack's Bait Shack. Now, let's go with a just a simplified font. Let's go down here and we'll do just a wide. All right, I'm going to break this text block into lines. So text break block into lines because I just want to work with Jacks for a minute. Let's put Jacks here. And I'm going to make Jacks on that. I'm going to use that font there. And on the, well, no, I'm sorry. What am I doing? I want to go back to that font here. Jax is going to be that font. That's good. Now, bait is going to be smaller. And Bait Shack could have been on, one word on one line. So what I'm actually going to do is shack like that. Bring that down here. I'm going to pop that kind of right under there. And then this one, I'll just change this to, minnows. What is that? Minnows in stock, right? I don't know. We'll just do something. And we'll size that down. let's move get out of there. Let's move him up. Right there. Just making something up. Okay, so let's pretend that this is our sign here. Now, what I want to do is let's look at this sign with just a basic texture going right across the whole thing. In order to have a texture on this in the background and stuff, I need to put an island around the graphic. Generally, 99.9% of the time, always got to put an island around the graphic. So I'm going to do an offset, and it's going to be just a small offset, like a 16th or an 1/8 of an inch, nothing really big. I believe an 1/8 of an inch might be fine for a sign this size. So let's do that. Yep. And we're going to hold down the shift key. We're going to turn this off and hit delete, get rid of everything else that was offset. I only want that outside line, creating an island for that to carve on. Now, let's come in here and let's select this as a whole, do it as a VCarve toolpath. We're going to start at 0, cut an 1/8 of an inch deep, just an 1/8 of an inch deep, 60-degree V-bit. I'll use both of these bits here. I want to be a raster cut, and we're going to calculate this out. Okay, so this is going to give me a raised text sign, simple raised text sign, because of having the border selected with the text and the graphics and everything. Very simple, very straightforward. On the sign here. All right, let's give it a little bit of color. Let's see what we're looking at here. So kind of that's our sign up to this point. Now, let's give it a little bit of character in the background. So with the same vector selected, except the bass, we don't need it, selected just the island that's around it. That's all it needs to be selected. We're going to create a texture toolpath. Now, for me, I like a 1/8 inch tapered ball nose when I'm doing a texture. And I'm going to start at the depth that my pocket is, an 1/8 of an inch, right? So it's going to be our starting point. Now, from here, it can randomize these numbers any way that you want. I want a maximum depth of cut of an 1/8 of an inch from where it's already starting, with a minimum of around a 16th, and I want it to vary between those two. My maximum cut length, because this is a long sign and stuff, I'll go ahead and go with a maximum cut length of 1 inch, with a minimum of a 1/2 inch, and let it randomize between those. My overlap, I always like a 30% overlap is good. I'll keep that default. But my step over, I always step over half the diameter of the bit. So since the bit's an 1/8 inch diameter bit, I'm going to step over a 16th. And the variation, just keep it kind of midline and let it vary between that. Now on the angle here, I want the angle to be slightly angled up. So I'm only going to go about 10 degrees, but it's anything other than 0. I want to slightly shift that angle a little bit. Now, when my ball nose bit comes in here and cuts, I do not want it touching the border. I do not want it touching the text, or I do not want it touching the island. And if you remember, at an 1/8 inch tall with a 60-degree V-bit, the offset of that angle is 0.0722, right? So as long as I'm over 0.0722, my bit's not going to run into my letters or anything like that. I am going to go a full 1/8 of an inch. I kind of like that offset. I like a little bit more than that 0.0722. Now, that offset keeps that bit away from my vectors and my island. Now, this is going to just texture right straight across. All that fun stuff, and it's going to just create just a different element, you know. So if we preview this, once again, let's turn this off. So this is the sign, raised sign without the texture. Okay, let's throw the texture in there. Let's preview it with the texture. And I need you to open up your mind's eye on this one, on your imagination and everything, because we're going to do something in this next step to give it a bit of a visual appeal. So right now we're just taking this texture all the way across the whole inside area there, and we're just giving it, a little bit of pop, right? So just a nice little background and stuff. But let's take a look at this a little bit more, just kind of here. Now imagine, I need you to open up your mind's eye, your imagination with this. This is our last project here. But to me, think of like a windy day on the water, right? Which isn't a good day for fishing and all. But think of this kind of like the choppiness of the water, right? So water and everything. And with our bass here, our bass is jumping out of the water. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to create a bit of a horizon line. So I want a part of this sign to have a texture, but I want the rest to be smooth, kind of like, sky and choppy water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here on my sign, and I'm just going to take, could freehand it, you could arc it, you could do whatever. I'll just freehand it. And I'm just going to pick a spot. Let's go here. And I'm just going to create. I hear you. I know you're hiding in here somewhere. I'm going to create this boundary line right here. Okay. Now this line could be up higher, could be lower. You can change angles, whatever you think might look good, and stuff like that. But you really won't know what it looks like until you actually see it in action and all. But here's the important thing: everything inside the boundary, I need to have selected so the texture carves in there. Everything outside of the boundary, I don't, because the texture is only carving in here. So I'm going to create a. Hey, you guys tear up my live stream right now, playing around. I'm talking to the cats, guys. I got 2 wild cats running loose here. I am going to create a new layer. And this is going to be my trim layer. I'm going to be trimming a vector together, trim layer. And I'm going to take this vector that I just drew, this vector that I just drew, or that my border vector, the bass outline, because that's all I need, not all the detail inside, and this stock here, that's all I need. And I'm going to move them to... copy to, let's copy to that trim layer. All right, we'll come in and we will, now if this vector would have went up higher and into this letters, I'd take some whatever was in, anything that's inside of this boundary, this is where my texture is going to be. Anything inside here gets put on this trim layer. Now I'm going to turn everything off for the moment. So all I have is just this trim layer, because all I'm doing is trimming up the boundary. So trimming away what I don't need, keeping what I do. So with the scissors, zoom in, that goes away, and then that boundary all the way to here, and that goes away. Everything out here, we're going to trim this away and this, right? We just need that. And then we don't need to do any trimming. The minnows in stock has to stay in there because the texture has to go around it. So now I'm going to take that texturing toolpath and everything here, and I'm just going to select this new vector on there. Let's turn on everything that I had on here. Yep. So this new vector and minnows in stock, that's going to be my same. I'm going to use the same parameters. I'm going to calculate this toolpath here. All right, now let's turn that off, and let's look at, here's the let me get zoomed in here. This is the full texture, right? So this is with the full texture. And now let's undo that last, which was that texture, right? So this was without the texture. And let's throw in just that partial texture now. So that partial texture is going to come in and everything. I probably should have went a little bit higher up on the bass. Possibly not, and all that stuff. And basically what we have here, and I probably could have went up a little bit higher, like right in the mouth area there, a little bit higher there. we want the horizon line to look somewhat realistic, depending on what it is. But now we have, this texture where we have kind of that dividing line, right? So it almost looks like the bass is jumping out of the water, if you will, right? So you can really be creative with the textures visually. Now, again, if I would have used a V bit instead of the ball nose bit or an end mill instead of the texture would look completely different. If I would have changed up those numbers in a variety of ways, it could look very different, right? Or the angle or anything like that. If you like a set of numbers that you've created, you can save those, and there's a texture folder that you can save them in. So let's go 0.125. I'll just call this my 0.125 tapered ball nose basic texture. And if I need, when I'm doing a texture toolpath, I can load a particular texture or settings in from that library, and I can use it over and over again. It's going to be a little bit random, depending on the vectors I have selected and all, but it's going to be the same settings and parameters and stuff based off that. But you can really create, you can do really a lot of cool things with it. Just using, kind of visualizing like what would that look like. And again, I could have probably went with a smooth straight line instead of a wiggly line, and I could have come right across the mouth area right up to here, and that probably would have looked a little bit slicker and all, but not too shabby for on the fly. But that is your texturing toolpath. It's a really cool tool, and it adds a good bit of pop, to your designs. All right, ladies and gents. Any questions? Any questions? All right, good. Well, hopefully I didn't put everybody to sleep. Wake up. All right. The 3 different methods, 4 or 5, I don't know how many we did, but we did the texture area tile, bringing in pictures and making them textures, and then using the texture toolpath. So 3 different methods and lots of applications. Again, it could be backgrounds of signs. You could be making decorative panels. It could be a decorative panel for like a door, like for a cabinet door, or for whatever wall, like JR was talking about, for wall art, or kitchen, decor, right? Things like that. Really, really good stuff. Could come from it and everything. When I was going to add some color to this for preview purposes, but it doesn't really pop very good with color because the texture gets filled in with the color too, and you really can't tell. But yeah, so but there's your sign, right? Here's your sign. All right, what do you think, Ronnie? What do you think, JR?
Question for you, Laney.
Yeah, man.
Can when you make the texture and you save it, can we also make a clip art image of the texture?
100% yes. Yep.
Cool. So we don't have to depend on a text description, basically.
Correct. Yep. So you can like if I reset this and let's say I just ran the texture. So I'm going to do a full sheet, full layout here. If I just run just the texture toolpath, calculate, and it could be full texture, it could be partial, it could be whatever, right? But in this case, I'm just going to go full on texture. So with Aspire, and it does require Aspire, let it process. Boop, doom, doom. And again, this texture could be, going straight. It could be larger. Imagine a 1/4-inch bit would be bigger, scoops more hand-hewn type carving look and things like that. This is a small 1/8-inch bit, 1/8-inch ball nose, tapered ball nose. end mill would be choppy or what have you. But when you preview this texture like this, JR, once it's done, we're almost there. All right, let's get it centered and everything. You go up to model, create a component create a component from, and you can create a component from the toolpath preview. So when you come in here, it'll create that component. I don't know what in the world popped in there. Oh, it popped into here. Let me turn the leaves off. But now we have this model, right? So you can create that, and that is a model. And then you can save that. So with that, the only thing being visible, you can come in here and model, export as 3D clip art, and you can bring that into your, let me see what window the, I just froze up the software. Give it a second. There we go. It's coming back. All right, so close out of that one here. So in the 3D clip art, you go to this PC, C drive, users, public documents, Vectric files, clip art, and then you can, it could be decorative. You could have a new folder. Let's say we call this like texture, my texture, I don't know, textures. We'll call this our 0.125 tapered ball nose. And again, you can use a portion of it. You don't have to use the whole model. You can draw a heart and say trim away everything else. You can use a portion of the texture. You don't use the whole thing. But when you do that in your clip art, wait for it. I don't know why it jumps off the screen like that when I give it a second. It always jumps halfway between one screen and the other when it's thinking. I don't know what. I got to set up my screens a little bit different. But there we go. And so if we go to clip art, click on clip art to refresh, and then you'll have my textures right there, and then you'll have that model that you can drag and drop in and stuff. That texture. Go bigger.
That's cool.
Yeah. So you create the texture, you preview the toolpath of it, whatever shape. It doesn't have to be. I just went the full shape. It could have been that partial too. Whatever shape, and then you model, create component from toolpath preview. It'll automatically put it in your tree, and you have to still save that. You have to go back up to model and export it out as your 3D clip art, because it's bringing it, it's creating it for the design you're currently in. You have to export it out as 3D clip art to be able to use in the future. And so, yes, to answer your question, yep, for sure. And so that even when I bring in those leaves and create a background of the river rock and all, I can export that as 3D clip art as a texture, right? So I don't have to keep doing that. I don't have to keep importing the picture in and this and that. I can just create that background, and then I can export that background as clip art and save it. And ladies and gentlemen, those features, what you just saw right there, and what I'm talking about as far as like the river rock and the pile of leaves that I made as a background, exporting it out as clip art and all, that's only an Aspire feature. So if you don't have Aspire and you have Desktop Pro, that's one of the it's one of the benefits of Aspire, to be able to export or create your own models from scratch, right? From nothing,
Well, it's coming, so.
Yep. In the meantime, if you need a model created, you can always reach out, and it takes some time, but I get it done. Usually get the job done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. Hopefully I didn't put everybody to sleep in the chat.
Thanks, Laney.
You're welcome. If anything comes up, if you have questions, do me a favor. For those of you that joined me late and everything, go back and watch the first part of this where I talk about tomorrow. I have a big meeting with a website company, a redevelopment company. We're going to redevelop buildittv.com website. We're going to add a member area, a private member area there, where you'll have access to files and folders and stuff as subscribers. You'll have access to private folders and files and PDFs and things for different types of projects and information, just training and stuff. We're going to try to, right now, like I said, the membership has been a little lackluster. There's not a lot of activity in Spindle TV exclusive on Facebook, so I'm going to try to pump that up to really get some interaction going and stuff, try to get more projects and posts happening and stuff and things. So going to have kind of a bit of a revamp, been working towards that and everything. I got a big meeting tomorrow on this website relaunch, if you will, redesign and relaunch. It's going to be hopefully some good things, and keep an eye out for that. But if you didn't hear that in the beginning, go back, watch it. It's literally, I just summed up what I just said. But so what I'd like, if you are a member and you have Facebook and you have not joined the Spindle TV exclusive Facebook group yet, go to my personal profile and add me as a friend. And once we're friends and you send me that friend request and we add as a friend, I can invite you into the Spindle TV exclusive group. It's by invite only, and then I can invite you, and you can be in the group. If you don't have Facebook, we'll see you here and things. But eventually, the reason for the revamp of the website, to get that member area going on the website as well too, is for folks that don't have Facebook that would like to be able to interact and all that. We're going to have that exclusive member area on the website. So lots of stuff going to happen tomorrow. I mean, they're not going to get done with the development. We're just going to be talking about the discovery, what needs to be done. But that's coming down the road. So keep an eye out for that. And in the meantime, we'll catch you tomorrow night for our public class, if y'all join me. And other than that, we'll see you next week. JR, Ronnie, I appreciate you as always joining me on live. And any of you other gold members, if you want to, you can always join me on live. You can come here. I can fit 10 of you, 9 of you, plus myself. We can fit 10 on the screen. So come on in and jump in.
Hey, Laney, Laney, a question on Restream. Is there a way for JR and I to add comments in the public group?
Yes.
Because it's like we've been looking.
We haven't found it.
Okay. All right. So over on, when you're looking at this, so I don't know what your screen looks like, but when you're looking at this window and all, do you see a menu or anything off to the right side that has like a folder design or anything like that?
All I see is something.
Negative.
It just says leave in the top right.
It just says leave. Okay. Give me just a second. Bear with me just a moment. Let me see here. On my members, I have the private chat. Let me see each of you. Bear with me. Let me go into your little dots here so I can edit your name or remove you. New link. You don't see a menu on the right side. Can you? All right. How about the bottom? Ronnie, on the bottom, do you see a little computer monitor with an up arrow?
No, I got need help. And I mean, there's a computer monitor in the very center of the screen, but it says to share screen.
Yes. Okay, so do you mind sharing your screen and show me so I can see what you're seeing?
Not at all.
Okay. Yeah, so do me a favor and hit share screen and show me just your screen, your window, so I can see what you see, just so I can better point you out. And it could be a window, a screen.
See about that.
Ron Ferrier shared his screen, show on the stream. So there we go. All right, let me see what you're seeing. So, Oh, you don't. What's it say in the bottom right? That little round thing at the very bottom right next to where it says
need help.
Need help?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can see the chat. Hold on now.
Just can't add anything.
You're in the show. You can see the chat, but you can't
participate.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Hold on. I don't know if that now. Hey, I will say this. That might be a setting I have to turn on that I don't realize. You can hide your screen now, Ronnie.
Okay.
Let me go over here to design real quick. So let's see here. Under design, I got logo, default graphics. Lower third, I got a ticker. Hey, here's a ticker. Look at this. Watch this. Don't forget thumbs up.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. All right. So let's see. QR codes, music, notes. Start typing notes, and chat. And hold on a second.
There was something about a chat tab that should be available on the right-hand side.
Yeah. So I can overlay, like I can show the chat on the live stream like that. I have a box where I can type a message underneath. I'm not sure why. Let me see here. I can send a chat. I can chat in there, but you don't have that. So what I'll do is I'll reach out to Restream, and I'll say, hey, my guest can communicate in the private chat, but they can't communicate in the public chat. Now, Ronnie, when you type in the private chat window, it doesn't give you like an option. It doesn't give you an option like private or public chat, where you choose, right?
No.
Like there's no drop down or anything.
No,
Okay.
just.
Well, I'll be darned.
Yeah.
All right. Give me just a second here. Let me see something here. No, I don't see any I don't have anything like, turn this on, turn that off, or that kind of thing. I will address that, and I'll address that, and I will get. Oh, hold on a second. General, guests can control all presentations. What does that mean? Guests, even when backstage, can navigate all presentation slides. Okay, that's one thing. Show non-video participants, show QR codes, show push notifications. Hey, stop, guys. Video background. Okay. I don't see anywhere to turn that on, Ronnie, but I will check. I'll check with them and say, hey, why is that? What do we do? How do we get them to chat live and stuff?
Okay. Yeah, cool.
Now the question is, I'll ask them and see if they say something like, oh, they can be in your chat, they can be in your stream, but they also have to have it open. They also have the stream open so they can participate like a viewer too. They might say something like that. I don't know, but I'll find out. I'll get it. I'll find out. There's got to be an easy way to do it, because you guys from StreamYard, whether you were with me or not, you didn't have to do anything special. You could type in. You had the box to type in the public chat, right? Okay. I'll see. It might be something I have to turn on before I start a stream. I'll figure that out, and I'll let you know. We'll know by next week.
All right, man. Appreciate it, Laney.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone. Y'all have a good evening.
Hey, guys and girls.